Chapter 4. It will be a long night. Alone in the apartment while Mama was out shopping with Kirsty, Anne-Marie, and Ellen, were sprawled on the living room floor playing with paper dolls. They had cut the dolls from Mama's magazines, old ones she had saved from past years. The paper ladies had old-fashioned hairstyles and clothes, and the girls had given them names from Mama's very favorite book. Mama had told Anne-Marie and Ellen the entire story of Gone with the Wind, and the girls thought it much more interesting and romantic than the King and Queen tales that Kirsty loved. "Come, Melanie," Anne-Marie said, walking her doll across the edge of the rug. "Let's dress for the ball." "All right, Scarlet, I'm coming," Ellen replied in a sophisticated voice. She was a talented performer. She often played the leading roles in school dramatics. Games of the imagination were always fun when Ellen played. The door opened and Kirsty stumped in, her face tear-stained and glowering. Mama followed her with an exasperated look and set a package down on the table. "I won't," Kirsty sputtered. "I won't ever wear them. Not if you chain me in a prison and beat me with sticks." Anne-Marie giggled and looked questioningly at her mother. Mrs. Johansson sighed. "I bought Kirsty some new shoes," she explained. "She's outgrown her old ones." "Goodness, Kirsty," Ellen said. "I wish my mother would get me some new shoes. I love new things, and it's so hard to find them in the stores." "Not if you go to a fish store," Kirsty bellowed. "But most mothers wouldn't make their daughters wear ugly fish shoes." "Kirsten," Mama said soothingly, "you know it wasn't a fish store, and we were lucky to find shoes at all." Kirsty sniffed. "Show them," she commanded. "Show Anne-Marie and Ellen how ugly they are." Mama opened the package and took out a pair of the little girl's shoes. She held them up and Kirsty looked away in disgust. "You know there's no leather anymore," Mama explained. "But they found a way to make shoes out of fish skin. I don't think these are too ugly." Anne-Marie and Ellen looked at the fish skin shoes. Anne-Marie took one in her hand and examined it. It was odd looking. The fish scales were visible, but it was a shoe, and her sister needed shoes. "It's not so bad, Kirsty," she said, lying a little. Ellen turned the other one in her hand. "You know," she said, "it's only the color that's ugly." "Green," Kirsty wailed. "I will never, ever wear green shoes." "In our apartment," Ellen told her, "my father has a jar of black ink. Would you like these shoes better if they were black?" Kirsty frowned. "Maybe I would," she said finally. "Well then," Ellen told her, "tonight, if your mama doesn't mind, I'll take the shoes home and ask my father to make them black for you with his ink." Mama laughed. "I think that would be a fine improvement. What do you think, Kirsty?" Kirsty pondered. "Could he make them shiny?" she asked. "I want them shiny." Ellen nodded. "I think he could. I think they'll be quite pretty, black and shiny." Kirsty nodded. "All right then," she said. "But you mustn't tell anyone that they're fish. I don't want anyone to know." She took her new shoes, holding them disdainfully, and put them on a chair. Then she looked with interest at the paper dolls. "Can I play too?" Kirsty asked. "Can I have a doll?" She squatted beside Anne-Marie and Ellen on the floor. Sometimes Anne-Marie thought Kirsty was such a pest, always butting in, but the apartment was small. There was no other place for Kirsty to play, and if they told her to go away, Mama would scold. "Here," Anne-Marie said, and handed her sister a cut-out little girl doll. "We're playing Gone with the Wind. Melanie and Scarlet are going to a ball. You can be Bonnie. She's Scarlet's daughter. Kirsty danced her doll up and down happily. I'm going to the ball, she announced in a high, pretend voice. Ellen giggled. A little girl wouldn't go to a ball. Let's make them go someplace else. Let's make them go to Tivoli. Tivoli? Anne-Marie began to laugh. It doesn't... That's in Tivoli, Anne-Marie began to laugh. That's in Copenhagen. Gone with the Wind is in America. Tivoli, 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 little Christy sang, twirling her doll in a circle. It doesn't matter because it's only a game anyway, Ellen pointed out. Tivoli can be over there by that chair. Come, Scarlet, she said, using her doll voice. We shall go to Tivoli and dance and watch the fireworks, and maybe there will be some handsome men there. Bring your silly daughter, Bonnie, and she can ride on the carousel. Anne-Marie grinned and walked her Scarlet toward the chair that Ellen had designated as Tivoli. She loved Tivoli Gardens, in the heart of Copenhagen. Her parents had taken her there often when she was a little girl. She remembered the music and the brightly colored lights, the carousel and the ice cream, and especially the magnificent fireworks in the evenings, the huge colored splashes and bursts of lights in the evening sky. I remember the fireworks best of all. Sorry. Me too, Kirsty said. I remember the fireworks. Silly, Anne-Marie scoffed. You never saw the fireworks. Tivoli Gardens was closed now. The German occupation forces had burned part of it. Perhaps as a way of punishing their fun-loving Danes for their light-hearted pleasures. Kirsty drew herself up, her small shoulders stiff. I did too, she said belligerently. It was my birthday. I woke up in the night and I could hear the booms, and there were lights in the sky. Mamma said it was fireworks for my birthday. Then Anne-Marie remembered Christy's birthday was late in August, and that night, only a month before, she too had been awakened and frightened by the sounds of explosions. Kirsty was right. The sky in the southeast had been ablaze, and Mamma had comforted her by calling it a birthday celebration. Imagine such fireworks for a little girl 5 years old, Mamma had said, sitting on their bed, holding the dark curtain aside to look through the window at the lighted sky. The next evening's newspaper had told the sad truth. The Danes had destroyed their own naval fleet, blowing up the vessels one by one, as the Germans approached to take over the ships for their own use. How sad the king must be, Anne-Marie had heard Mamma say to Papa when they read the news. How proud, Papa had replied. It had made Anne-Marie feel sad and proud, too, to picture the tall, aging king, perhaps with tears in his blue eyes, as he looked at the remains of his small navy, which now lay submerged and broken in the harbor. I don't want to play anymore, Ellen, she said suddenly, and put her paper doll on the table. I have to go home anyway, Ellen said. I have to help Mamma with the house cleaning. Thursday is our New Year. Did you know that? Why is it yours? Asked Kirsty. Isn't it our New Year too? No, it's the Jewish New Year. That's just for us. But if you want, Kirsty, you can come that night and watch Mamma light the candles. Anne-Marie and Kirsty had often been invited to watch Miss Rosin light the Sabbath candles on Friday evenings. She covered her head with a cloth and said a special prayer in Hebrew as she did so. Anne-Marie always stood very quietly and awed to watch. Even Kirsty, usually such a chatterbox, was always still at that time. They didn't understand the words or the meaning, but they could feel what a special time it was for the Rosins. Yes! Christy agreed happily. I'll come and watch your mama light the candles, and I'll wear my new black shoes. But this time was to be different. Leaving for school on Thursday with her sister, Anne-Marie saw the Rosens walking to the synagogue early in the morning, dressed in their best clothes. She waved to Ellen, who waved happily back. Lucky Ellen, Anne-Marie said to Kirsty. She doesn't have to go to school today. But she probably has to sit very, very still like we do in church, Kirsty pointed out. That's no fun. That afternoon, Ms. Rosen knocked on the door, but didn't come inside. Instead, she spoke for a long time in a hurried, tense voice to Anne-Marie's mother in the hall. When Mama returned, her face was worried, but her voice was cheerful. Girls, she said, we have a nice surprise. Tonight, Ellen will be coming to stay overnight and to be our guest for a few days. It isn't often we have a visitor. Kirsty clapped her hands in delight. But, Mama, Anne-Marie said in dismay, it's their New Year. They were going to have a celebration at home. Ellen told me that her mother managed to get a chicken someplace, and she was going to roast it, their first roast chicken in a year or more. Their plans have changed, Mama said briskly. Mr. and Mrs. Rosens have been called away to visit some relatives, so Ellen will stay with us. Now, let's get busy and put clean sheets on your bed. Kirsty, you may sleep with Mama and Papa tonight, and we'll let the big girls giggle together by themselves. Kirsty pouted, and it was clear that she was just about to argue. Mama will tell you a special story tonight, her mother said. One, just for you. About a king? Kirsty asked dubiously. About a king, if you wish, Mama replied. All right, then. But there must be a queen, too, Kirsty said. Though Mrs. Rosen had sent her chicken to the Johansons, and Mama made a lovely dinner large enough for second helpings all around, it was not an evening of laughter and talk. Ellen was silent at dinner. She looked frightened. Mama and Papa tried to speak of cheerful things, but it was clear that they were worried. And it made Anne-Marie worry too. Only Kirsty was unaware of the quiet tension in the room. Swinging her feet in her newly blackened and shiny shoes, she chattered and giggled during dinner. Early bedtime today, little one, Mama announced after the dishes were washed. We need extra time for the long story I promised about the king and queen. She disappeared with Kirsty into the bedroom. What's happening? Anne-Marie asked when she and Ellen were alone with Papa in the living room. Something's wrong. What is it? Papa's face was troubled. I wish that I could protect you children from this knowledge, he said quietly. Ellen, you already know. Now we must tell Anne-Marie. He turned to her and stroked her hair with his gentle hand. This morning, at the synagogue, the rabbi told his congregation that the Nazis have taken the synagogue list of all the Jews. Where they live, what their names are. Of course the Rosens were on that list along with many others. Why? Why did they want those names? They planned to arrest all the Danish Jews. They planned to take them away, and we have been told that they may come tonight. I don't understand. Take them where? Her father shook his head. We don't know where, and we really don't know why. They call it relocation. We don't even know what that means. We only know that it's wrong and that it's dangerous and we must help. Anne-Marie was stunned. She looked at Ellen and saw her best friend crying silently. Where are Ellen's parents? We must help them too. We couldn't take all three of them. If the Germans come to search your apartment, it would be clear that the Rosens were here. One person we can hide, not three. So Peter has helped Ellen's parents to go somewhere else. We don't know where. Ellen doesn't know either, but they are safe. Ellen sobbed out loud and put her face in her hands. Papa put his arm around her. They're safe, Ellen, I promise you that. You will see them again quite soon. Can you try hard to believe my promise? Ellen hesitated and wiped her eyes with her hands. But Papa, Anne-Marie said, looking around the small apartment with its few pieces